Hi everyone, I'm Lori and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video is entitled The Event, the Final Preparation, and that is healing the heart. I've put out a series of videos, all in support of those who feel strong enough in their spiritual practice to extend their light by example to those that are in the process of awakening. And these videos are basically a checklist of what needs to be in place in order to be an example for others and function in a leadership role. The first video was about connecting to the higher self and forming a daily meditation through deep breathing. The second was about navigating from the third to the fifth dimension by raising your vibration and releasing lower negative vibrations. The third was about energetic boundaries and their maintenance and healing of them. And today's video is about healing the heart. I would like to say that most people find themselves at one point or another in their life in a position of feeling like they've failed to some extent in finding love or happiness. And that can be remedied and healed if we figure out why it occurred in the first place. So let's just back up a little bit and describe what a journey to Earth is like and what it entails and how it can lead us into a state of neediness and unhappiness. I'll begin by saying that each of us has a heart, and if I can use the analogy of each of us has a cupcake. And other people's love can be seen as maybe frosting to this cupcake. With that being said, I'll also say that if you look at someone's heart, you can see it as a puzzle. And most people have pieces missing from that puzzle. And with those two analogies, I'll take it a step further and move into the realm of the spiritual. We come to this earth disconnected from Source. When we arrive as newborns, we are definitely connected to that spiritual realm, but by the time we start getting indoctrinated with support from others, we wind up slowly moving into a denser framework. If you look at where we came from and why we're here, I would just say we come from Source. Source energy apportions some of its energy into an individualized ember, which we can call the soul. And the soul is given its own dimension, its own environment, which is a unique environment. And that soul is a coach to the aspect of itself that is focusing in the specific incarnation. So the reason for each incarnation is to cultivate and grow our will to choose love over fear, to choose to, with free will, to choose the love of others and to work in a harmonious industry with the rest of the cosmos. But in order to be aligned to that, we have to cultivate our will to want that. And the coach over many lives cultivates our will and gives us experiences so we can freely choose those things. When we are not disconnected from Source, when our awareness as a personality in a body is not disconnected from Source. It is in connection with its higher self. It is, like I say, in a unique dimension. It is a closed system, and it is self-sufficient. When we come into this life and we are immediately nurtured by others and our attention is drawn outside of this closed system, we are led to believe that we can find love from some other source from outside of ourselves, when in fact our higher self is what nurtures us, and we can also find the parent and the partner we never thought existed in our higher self, where it loves us more than anybody and is functioning in this same unique dimension, so it understands us fully. But as we grow up and we're taught to look outside of ourselves, we're taught, if you want love, just find someone else's cupcake and try to get it. And try as people may to satisfy you or for you to satisfy them, everyone is working in a dimension that is unique unto them. So just like a computer, a Mac computer and a Microsoft computer, cannot share software or expect the same response from a key function, we cannot expect other people to really understand where we're coming from, what our needs are, or how we feel. And so often we entrust our heart to other people and they invariably drop it and break it. They don't mean to, but it usually happens. And this can be in the case of a parent, maybe not being available or as supportive as you might have needed, or a close friend turning on you as a child, or a partner leaving you or not loving you enough. And this extends all the way to the present. So we have a long history of disappointment. And when the soul is brought outside of this closed system in search of love and is disappointed, it leaves some of its awareness in the place that it was hurt until it can understand what happened. And so often we wind up with pieces missing of our puzzle and a long history of broken heart and nowhere to go to fix it. So I want to suggest that there's a meditation we can partake in that will rectify this. If we were to do this meditation, I would find a comfortable place to sit or lie down, deeply breathe, and call to your higher self, whose company you can spend maybe 5 minutes with. Here you can give it appreciation, give it love, speak to it, and thank it for its help. And then ask it to help you to retrieve these lost parts of yourself, these parts that have remained behind to where the hurt occurred. And if you do that, I would make a list, first of all the times that you've been emotionally put through trauma or a broken heart. So let's say you have 10 times, as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, etc., etc. So you list them, and as far as a meditation, I would do this one incident per meditation. I wouldn't do anything more than one. And this may take a while, maybe do a meditation once a week, for a couple months, but by the time you're done with your list, you will have retrieved all the splinters that are elsewhere, and you will bring them back into this puzzle, and the pieces will be restored. So what I would do is, in meditation, after spending time with your higher self for a few minutes, I would say, higher self, I would like to retrieve this aspect of myself, and can you accompany me and support me in doing this? Then I would imagine your higher self maybe having big wings and embracing you fully and launching both of you up into the sky, riding underneath the full moon with the clouds below you, and finally land to where the incident is. I'll give an example, I'll make one up of myself. Let's say that I had a father who promised me a fishing trip when I was 8 years old. And all week long I prepared for that, got my tackle box ready. Friday night came, my mother made dinner for me, and then I waited on the porch for my dad to arrive, where we would take the weekend at a cabin and go fishing. And let's say he never came back. He didn't come home from work that night, and he actually left my mother and myself for good. And so part of me would still be on that porch waiting for him to come home, and with a broken heart. So as I arrive with my higher self to that porch, I would first approach the child, and in my mind's eye, I would apologize. I would say, please forgive me for showing up now, 30 years later, but I just figured out how to do this. I didn't mean to leave you for so long. Number two, I know how you feel because I am you older, and I know what you're feeling. I know you feel worthless, abandoned, at fault, and brokenhearted. And I just want to tell you that I've had a long time to understand what's going on here. And I know you thought your dad was a hero and he was so strong and loving, but I want to tell you that he also had some problems, and he really wasn't as mature as you think he was. And he just dropped the ball. It's not that he didn't love you, but he couldn't handle the responsibilities of his life. And your mother didn't have it together enough to explain what was going on, and the silence made you feel like it was your fault. Let me just say, I see you, and I know who you are because I am you, and I know you have a huge heart, a lot of light, and you are more together and more evolved than both of your parents at the age of 8, than both of them put together. So I just want to tell you that I see who you are, and you are worth loving, and you are a spectacular and beautiful person. So you explain that to the child. You may pick the child up and stroke its back and coo and give it supports. And I, think the world of you. I see your light. I love you. You may also say that they are your first priority and they are very important to you. And after a few minutes of doing this, you will feel your emotions calm down. After that, I would say to them, I'm not going to leave you here anymore. I'm actually going to bring you home with my higher self and I. And we are going to take care of you from now on. You're part of our little nuclear family. And at that point, I would embrace the child and ask the higher self to embrace us and fly us over the moon back to our meditation room. When you arrive, You can orient the child to your current life, tell them what it's about, and then have them integrate. Just let them be at home there. And as the days and weeks and months progress, have a keen awareness of your emotions and your feelings. We can all be in touch with our emotions and feelings. And that is that little child. And during the days to come, there will be days that'll be just fine and dandy. And then there will be days where you feel lost or sad or invalidated unfairly by someone, or whatever it is, where that emotion needs an adult to coddle it and to support it and to nurture it. So when you're alerted to a feeling that needs some support, take the time, commit to that emotion. You may be at work, you may be driving, whatever it is. When you can, pull the car over or take a break from work and find a quiet space and talk to that feeling. Say, what is it that you feel? What do you need to hear? And being like a parent, embrace that emotion and say, you didn't deserve that invalidating remark from that person. You're a very loving and caring person, and you didn't deserve that. And I see that you're great and that you're wonderful and loving, and I support you. And I'm most concerned of how you're doing and what can I do to help you. And by speaking like this for a few minutes, you will start to calm that feeling down. As the days pass, you'll notice different days require different approaches or different words or a different subject matter in order to support and nurture those emotions. But as you go through your list, meditation by meditation, and retrieve all the different parts of you that were left in the past, and this can go all the way up to 6 months ago or whatever, if there was a breakup in a relation or whatever. And you, after you have these pieces back into the puzzle, the daily nurturing will slowly codify and meld those pieces back into the heart. And when you do that, the heart will become healed and strong. And with daily nurturing and a protective boundary or a closed circuit, a unique sanctuary for your emotional well-being, your light will increase because there are no holes allowing that energy to get out. And as the clouds part, the warmth of your sun or your heart will shine warm and glow. And just like when Hollywood features a new movie and there are those floodlights that shoot up into the sky, your light will emanate from you like a lighthouse. And you will be a force to be reckoned with and a light to shine the way for others. You will be an example of what a healed and sovereign being you are. And then, if someone comes into your life and you'd like to have a relationship with them, you are tending to that cupcake. You can't use their cupcake and they can't use yours. It doesn't translate. But you can share frosting. You can try their frosting for a while and have a wonderful relationship with them. But because you're centered in your own relationship with your higher self, your weight onto them will not throw them off. You will be able to interact and love them, but you don't need their actual cupcake. you can just share frosting. And then if they ever move on or break away, it's not the end of the world. So that's in relation to other people, but as far as ourselves, in order to be a leader and a force to be reckoned with and a light to guide the way for others, we have to be emotionally healed. And when you have that constant support, that little child inside of your heart will finally relax once it realizes it has that support. And in relaxing, it will become not only joyful, but it will become vulnerable again. And in my estimation, a vulnerable and strong heart is the key to enlightenment. And that is what will happen if you tend to your own fire and allow it to blaze and maintain that with a boundary and create that sanctuary of uniqueness and self-nurturing. So I hope that's helped. It is the last step before we are able to be a light for others. Like I said, you can get the transcripts for the other videos on my website, soulselfawareness.com, and I would love to hear from you down below, and if you would subscribe to my Lori Polina YouTube channel. I look forward to seeing you next week for another video. In the meantime, have a great week and remember to breathe.